Hi everyone, it's Karen from the Geordie Grandma. Welcome back to another Sunday Sunshine Show with the Transatlantic Housewives of YouTube, which include myself, at Busy Bee Marie, at Tina's Talk Time and at Maria Crocker. And today we're all cooking things in an air fryer. So I decided to do low carb movie night snacks, and I decided to do 3 different ones, which in hindsight was probably a bit much for us. I'm going to be doing crispy, spicy cauliflower bites. I'm going to be doing tortilla chips with a cheese dip, and I'm going to be doing keto donuts. I've already cooked them. I'm filming this intro afterwards. Some turned out okay, some turned out a little bit of a disaster, but I'll show you now how I got on, and then I'll show you me tasting them. And don't forget to go over and watch Marie, Maria and Tina once you've watched this and see what they're making in their air fryers. I don't think they're making movie night snacks, but they will be making something very tasty and probably do a bit better than me. So here's the snacks. We're going to make the crispy cauliflower first. So I'm following a recipe that I'll leave in the description box below. I can't see from what I've printed out which website it's from, but I'll leave that in the description box below. And for this recipe, this serves 4. You need a medium head of cauliflower, which I've cut up into bite-sized chunks, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of salt. I probably won't measure those out, I'll just sprinkle them in, and 2 tablespoons of grated Parmesan cheese. Now I don't use Parmesan because it's not vegetarian. This is Sainsbury's dried grated hard cheese, which is very similar to Parmesan but is vegetarian. And then for the dipping sauce, we'll be using a 1/4 cup of soured cream. This is obviously an American website because it has American measurements in cups, but luckily I have some cups that I bought from B&M. So 1/4 cup of sour cream, 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and this is full fat mayonnaise. When you do low carb, everything's full fat, but these are good fats. And 2 tablespoons of hot sauce, and I'm using the Nando's peri peri hot sauce. So in this little bowl, I've mixed the smoked paprika, the turmeric powder, the garlic powder, the Parmesan cheese, salt and pepper together. And now I'm going to put the cauliflower florets into a bigger bowl with the seasoning, toss it all up and add the olive oil to coat the cauliflower all over. There, we're just getting the cauliflower florets all nice and coated, and then I'm going to add the olive oil so it actually sticks to it. So 2 tablespoons of olive oil, we'll just add that in. Again, another good fat. And we'll just mix this all up to get everything coated. I've never actually made this before, so it should be interesting. Don't use the air fryer enough really, just really use it for heating other stuff up. But this is kind of cooking. So get that all nicely coated. And then we're going to preheat the air fryer to 380 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 195 degrees Celsius. I didn't even know you had to preheat an air fryer, but the recipe says do that. So I'm going to preheat it for 5 minutes. And you can see that's all nicely coated on the cauliflower. Okay, so I've preheated the air fryer. This is a tower air fryer that I got from B&M. It's just got a single basket, like you can see the little grid in the bottom, and it says to put the cauliflower in a single layer on the bottom of the air fryer. If you're making a bigger batch, you may need a bigger air fryer, or do it in 2 stages. So there you can see I've layered it in the bottom, and it says to cook in the air fryer for 10 minutes. So to give it 10 minutes, just select the time and then press on. So that's the cauliflower done. It's been in there 10 minutes. So let's just take it out and have a look. It is most definitely crispy. So we'll just turn it out onto the plate. All of the bits out. And then it's tasting time. So I've got me cauliflower bites. I've made up the dipping sauce, and I just need to try it now. So I'm going to just take a little piece, one of the crispy pieces. Let's dip it in the, probably going to burn my mouth because this has just come out of the air fryer. Dip it in the sauce and let's have a go. Oh, that's really good. That is lovely. That has got a real kick to it. That makes a lovely movie night snack. Low carb and everything. I'm going to have to stop myself eating all of those now. So it says in the recipe that you can store the leftovers. Wow, that's got a real kick. If you don't like it really hot, maybe avoid the peri-peri sauce or get something a bit milder. You can store the leftovers in an airtight container in the fridge for 3 days, reheat in the air fryer until warm, and you can freeze them, and then just add an additional 4 to 5 minutes to the cooking time. So now we're going to go on to the next movie night snack. So for the second movie night snack, low carb, we're going to make some low carb tortilla chips and cheese dip. Now I got the recipe for the cheese dip and the tortilla chips from Low Carb Love, who I really enjoy her YouTube channel. So I'll put the links to the recipe below. And for this, for the tortilla chips, I've just got some low carb wraps. It's really difficult to find low carb wraps in England for some reason, unless you get them online. So these ones are from Sainsbury's Deli Cake Kitchen, and these have got per tortilla, which is per wrap, they've got 14 grams of carbs in there. So possibly not keto, but definitely low carb. And we're going to make these with some avocado oil and some salt and pepper to taste. And for the cheese dip, also from Low Carb Love, you need a cup of cottage cheese blended smooth, some grated cheddar, a tablespoon of taco seasoning. I don't know if they call it taco seasoning in England. I think that may be American. It's fajita seasoning, I think is the same. So some of that, half a teaspoon of paprika. For the tortilla chips, I'm preheating the air fryer to 175 degrees Celsius, which is about 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And it says to take a few tortillas, so I've got 3 here, put them on a chopping board and use a pizza cutter to make triangles out of them. So let's do some triangles. Never thought of using a pizza cutter for this. Good plan. So just cut them down. They are quite large, but that's okay. I think you can get smaller wraps, so if you wanted smaller tortilla chips, that's quite large, but that's okay, we'll work with that. I suppose I could cut them, but I'm just going to leave them big. So when the air fryer is heated, it says take the triangles, put them in the basket, add a little avocado oil, season with salt and pepper, You can use other seasonings if you want to, like Mexican seasoning blend, taco seasoning, or just oregano, or oregano is Americans would call it. And it says add the tortilla triangles in a single layer, spray a little cooking oil on top of the chips, and air fry for about 6 minutes. So we'll wait till the air fryer is preheated and then we'll put them in. I don't actually have an avocado oil spray, so I'm just going to brush some on with this little pastry brush, and we'll see how that goes. It might seem like a lot of faffing on to make your own movie night snacks, but if you are doing a low carb way of eating, you know, you don't want to spoil everything by stuffing your face with, you know, ordinary Doritos and you know, things that are loaded with calories and carbs. So taking this little bit extra time to do this is well worth it. Now I can't get a lot of these tortilla chips in the bottom of this pan at all. I've only got 1, 2, 3. I've only got 5 in there, so I'm going to have to do these in stages. But it says cook them for 6 minutes, then flip them and cook them for another 2 to 3 minutes. So while the tortilla chips are doing, I've mixed up the blended cottage cheese, the grated cheddar, the fajita seasoning and the paprika, and I'm going to put this in the microwave for 1.5 minutes to melt it. So the tortillas have crisped and browned nicely. I did them for 6 minutes like it said, and then it said to turn them over for 2 minutes, but I don't actually think they need it because they're pretty brown on each side. So maybe do them for 3 minutes on each side if you're trying this. So now we'll taste them with the cheese dip. Now my cheese dip doesn't quite look like the video on low carb love, so I'm not sure where I've gone wrong. It looks a little bit lumpy and oily, so I'm not sure where I've gone wrong there, but we'll taste it and we'll see what it's like. So we'll take one of the tortilla chips. I've got a little bowl of them here. These feel nice and crunchy. We will dip it in this cheese and we'll see what it tastes like. And that actually tastes quite good. It doesn't look right, but it does taste like the, you know, the cheese dip you get with the tortillas when you go to the pictures or the cinema, whatever you call it. That does taste like it. That is quite nice. So I will eat it, but I'm going to see where I've gone wrong and try and make it a little bit better for next time. They're very Moorish. For our third and last movie night snack at home, I'm going to make something sweet. We would normally have, you know, chocolate or sweets or something like that if you went to the cinema, but I'm going to make keto cinnamon donuts, which sound really good. I've never made them before, never made any of these things before, and I'm actually quite pleased at how they're turning out. But I'll just show you what ingredients is in the donuts before I cook them. So we've got a 1/4 cup of almond flour. There's a 1/4 cup of stevia, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 large eggs, 1/4 cup of almond milk. Again, this recipe is American, hence the cups. 1/4 cup of Greek yogurt, full fat yogurt, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And to coat them, again, you need the stevia, the cinnamon, and 2 tablespoons of melted butter. It says to heat the air fryer up for these donuts to 175 degrees Celsius, which I'm doing. And while I'm doing that, I've mixed the batter, but I made a bit of a mistake. it said 1¼ cups of almond flour, and I only put 1/4 of a cup in, and I thought it didn't look quite right. So after mixing everything up, I then added another cup of almond flour. So it might be a bit lumpy. I'm not quite sure how this is going to turn out. I did get some donut molds, but they only came in 6s, so I've had to cut 2 off. So hopefully this is going to, I mean, it does fit in the air fryer just, but it's how I'm going to get it in once the batter is in there. So we'll see. The air fryer's preheated. I've poured the batter into a jug because I think it's going to be easier to get it into the molds. And what I think I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to put this in here first and then pour the batter in. This could all go terribly wrong, but you can see that is a very tight fit. So I'm not entirely certain how this is going to turn out. So let's have a look. Let's see what we can do. So it says to fill the molds 3/4 full. Doing this the best I can. This is why I don't cook. That in. Because they're on an angle, some of them are more than, some sides of them are more than 3/4 full. But we're going to see how it goes. Right, so I've got a bit of mixture left. I think this probably makes about 6. So I don't know if you can see that. I've put the batter in the molds, and then I'm going to put it in the air fryer for 10 minutes at 175 degrees. It might help if I turn you around to see what I'm doing. For 175 degrees for 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. The 10 minutes is up, so let's have a look. They don't look too bad. They look maybe slightly overdone. I did put a toothpick in to see if it came out clean, and it did. So it says to leave them to cool completely before taking them out of the molds. So I'll come back when they're cool. I think the donuts are now cool enough to take out of the silicone molds. At least I hope so. I don't know what they're going to look like. Let's have a look. They feel very soft. They're sticking to the bottom. They are sticking. They're not fully cooked. Oh dear. This is a complete disaster. I wonder if I can put them back in. I did do the other 2, so I don't know if they're going to be any better. These 2 actually look a bit better, and I didn't. Maybe it's because I had too many in that I should have cooked them for a little bit longer. But that one actually looks fine. I'm going to put that on the plate. Complete disaster. This is what happens when you don't practice things first. But that one looks okay as well. I'm going to put those other ones, I don't know, should I put them back in for a few minutes and see what happens? I'm going to do that. I did put those other 4 back in the air fryer, and I'm cooling them just to see if they are edible, but they definitely weren't cooked properly on the bottom. These 2 don't look too bad. They don't really feel like a donut, but I'm now going to brush them in some melted butter, and then I'm going to dip them in the stevia mixed with the cinnamon and see if they actually look like a donut. So let's just brush these over with the butter. I don't know if anybody's ever made donuts in the air fryer before. If they have, maybe I went wrong by not putting all of the almond flour in at the beginning. I don't know, maybe I'm cooking too many at once. Who knows? Let me know if you have tried it. Okay, so I brushed them in melted butter. Now let's dip them in the stevia and cinnamon. Maybe they'll look like a donut. I'm sure they'll taste fine. It's my first go, so I can't complain. Okay, there's one. Put the other one in. I'll have to wait for those other 4 to cool to see what they look like. I'll let you know in the conclusion of the video if they worked. Okay, there's the other one. Just wipe my hand. So there we go. There is my keto cinnamon donuts. They actually don't look too bad. 1 second and we'll do a taste test. Let's see what they taste like. They feel very doughy. That actually doesn't taste too bad. That is really sweet. It might not have needed as much stevia in it. That is very sweet. Excuse me. It doesn't look too bad. It looks a little bit doughy inside. It is quite light. And it might be, it's not completely cold. But it's okay. The taste better than the look. So I hope you found that interesting. There was some decent things and there was some disastrous things. Those other 4 donuts that I put back in the air fryer did not work. They're still not cooked on the bottom. So maybe the answer was to cook them in 2s. Might have been too many in there. Yeah, disaster. I would possibly try making the donuts again. I would definitely do the cauliflower bites again. They are absolutely lovely and the dip was lovely. The cheese dip, I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong with that. I need to watch Low Carb Love's video again to see what she did and what I did wrong. The tortilla chips were perfectly fine. I would definitely make those again. So all I need to do now is go and watch a film. So I think I'm going to watch Muriel's wedding tonight. I don't know if Warren will eat these snacks with us. He'll probably eat the cauliflower, but he may not eat the cheese dip and he may not want a donut. But we shall see. So I hope you found that interesting. Don't forget to go across and watch Busy Bee Marie, at Maria Crocker and at Tina's Talk Time to see what air fryer recipes they've made. I'm sure they did a better job than I did. And I'll see you again soon. So bye for now.